I'm the chairman of the ALS Board of Trustees, and I'm joined here by Ken McGonigal, who is the chairman of the Board of Representatives.
I am, and I'm from the great state of Rhode Island, and I've been involved with the chapter there since 1991 when my dad was diagnosed with ALS. I'm the chairman of the Board of Representatives, and that represents the various chapters, all 38 chapters across the country, including our newest three, South Carolina, San Diego, and Greater Chicago. As Bill mentioned, he and I are thrilled to be here tonight. We've actually done this kind of thing before. We've done it in different cities throughout the country, but we've never had a crowd so large, so enthusiastic. We're thrilled to be here.
Yeah, actually, when Jane called me to ask me to do this, she said, you're going to have to sing for your supper. And about a year and a half ago at a board meeting, actually, Jay and I sang for our supper. And so I didn't think it was going to be a speaking engagement. I expected some guitars up here. But we're really pleased to join you this evening as we prepare to go to Capitol Hill tomorrow. It's only fitting that we gather tonight to recognize some of those whose tireless efforts have helped the entire ALS community to realize success and make a difference here in Washington. Their efforts have brought awareness of ALS to new heights on Capitol Hill. They have helped to increase funding for research, expanded access to patient care, and advanced programs like the National ALS Registry and the ALS Research Program at the Department of Defense, two programs that are designed to help us find the cause and treatment for this horrific disease.
Exactly, Bill. We have seen these efforts inspire and remind us that we all have the ability to affect change, to take action, and end ALS. We all have the power to fight ALS and will not simply let ALS continue to take everything from us. As one of our keynote speakers so proudly often says, no white flags. Judging by the fact that you're all here tonight and we have many more participating online, I think you agree with that. You understand what we can accomplish together. So tonight, we're about to honor heroes, but tomorrow you could be one. Your activities on the Hill tomorrow may very well be the most powerful thing you ever do in the battle against ALS.
In addition to the awards that we will present this evening, we will hear from two other inspiring advocates, O.J. Brigance, who's with us right over here. Sitting at the table, no doubt, with a Baltimore Ravens helmet, and Steve Gleason, who will be joining us remotely. Their remarkable passion and drive to fight ALS has helped bring unprecedented attention to our cause. And their stories of courage have generated support from people who have never before even knew what ALS was, much less become involved in a fight against it. O.J. Brigance and Steve Gleason are heroes. Like so many of you, they are an inspiration, a testament to the power we all have to persevere and to reach new heights and new successes in spite of the unimaginable adversity that is ALS. We look forward to hearing from them this evening, and I'm sure that they will provide even greater inspiration to persevere and succeed, not only in our meetings on Capitol Hill tomorrow, but also in our daily lives.
Bill, if you don't mind, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and I thought we might want to tell the audience that because of the tight time frame and the amount of awards and people we'd like to recognize, Bill and I are going to continue the speaking program, make the presentations while you all eat. So we apologize for that, and we'd ask that you do it as quietly as you can, and we'll move along as fast as we can. Also, we would very much like to thank the sponsors whose generous support has enabled us to host this event this evening. Please see the list of sponsors and exhibitors that will be on the video screens. Their support is greatly appreciated, as is that of PerMobile. In addition to participating in the ALSA Marketplace, which opens Friday morning, PerMobile has assembled a team here in Washington who are volunteering time and equipment to assist people with any difficulties they may experience with their wheelchairs to ensure that people with ALS can fully participate in this conference and on the Hill tomorrow. Special recognition goes to Bayada, to the Biotechnology Industry Organization, Biogen IDEC, the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, Pharma, Pfizer, Sanofi, and the Grand Dame of the ALS Association, Ellen Phillips. Where is she? I looked that up to make sure it was okay to say. And it said, an older or middle-aged woman, expert in her field. Ellen is a national trustee. She is the chair of the Strategic Planning Committee, and she is the former chair of both the Research Committee and the Public Policy Committee.
So now that you've mentioned one of the Board of Trustees, I'm going to introduce some of the others that are in the audience. Chris Brusalis. Where is he sitting? There he is. Daniel de Grandpré. Cynthia Duthat. Dr. Kim Ann Mink. Andrea Backman. And Bill Sofel. Also joining us, and we'll be hearing from one of them later, are the members of the ALS Association Chairman's Council, Dick Essie and Andrew Brophy. And also Warren Nelson, the Vice Chair of the Board of the Representatives, is here as well. Their tireless efforts have helped make the ALS Association a world leader in ALS public policy, research, and care services.
The first award this evening to be presented is the Jacob K. Javits Public Service Award. The Javits Award is presented to the individual or individuals who exemplify the qualities of leadership, compassion, and commitment to public service so heroically demonstrated by U.S. Senator Jacob Javits from New York. Senator Javits lost his life to ALS in 1986, and if you'll allow me a quick story of my own, in 1997, when I did my first Hill visit, the Rhode Island delegation was ushered into the private office of Senator Pell, of Pell Grant fame. Senator Pell was retiring that year, and he was a little bit uncertain of why we were there, but then picked up the word ALS, and he said to us, ALS was particularly cruel to hit Senator Javits because every word Senator Javits said was a gem. And of course, it took his ability to speak. So from there on, Senator Pell was quite clued into our cause. And it was very interesting to note that Senator Javits was a Republican, Senator Pell a Democrat, and they joined forces on ALS. The recipient of this year's award is one of our strongest champions on Capitol Hill, and also happens to be a fellow New Englander, so she may actually understand what I'm saying. Since first elected to the House of Representatives in 2008 from Maine's 1st Congressional District, she has consistently supported our issues, including both the National ALS Registry and the ALS Research Program. Her support for ALS is driven by her relationship with her constituents in Maine. It is driven by her firsthand experience in interacting with people that have ALS, understanding how it affects and impacts her neighbors and families. It is because of people whose lives have been touched by ALS, like Bruce Churchill, Hank Rebman, the Kingsbury family, and Josh Kennedy, his wife Ernesta, and their 3 young boys. Congressman Pingree has seen the disease and wants to bring it to an end. Our cause is her cause. She helped lead the Department of Defense ALS Research Program's Dear Colleague letter in the House and called on the Appropriations Committee to increase funding for the program, and the committee increased the funding by 20%. What is unique about her leadership on this issue is not that she led a Dear Colleague letter. It's that she's the one that requested that she lead the Dear Colleague letter. It was not a response to a request. She undertook the initiative to help people with ALS. Before we present the award, I would like to ask New Gloucester, Maine resident Ernesta Kennedy and her 3 boys Tyler, Chase, and Drew to join us on stage. Ernesta's husband Josh served in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom and was lost to ALS just over a year ago. On behalf of the Congresswoman Shelley Pingree. Oh, sure.
Thank you. Well, I'll be brief. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to Ernesta and the boys for being up here with me. And thank you for recognizing me and giving the great honor of this award. I want to recognize Jennifer Taylor, who's here in the room with me, who staffs healthcare policy in my office and works on this issue and has also been a vigilant supporter of doing more for people with ALS. Like many of you in this room, I don't have a firsthand family experience, but I've been all too familiar with meeting people and being engaged with people and the devastating effects that ALS has on friends and family. I want to just tell you a couple of quick stories. Normally, if you were to come into my office, you would see that I proudly display a blue ribbon that I won for the cow milking contest for politicians in Maine. I never would have won that ribbon or learned how to milk a cow if it hadn't been for Tony Bach. When I first moved to Maine, Tony was the principal of the local high school. And when I decided I wanted to learn more about farming, he took me in as a farm apprentice. And he taught me how to get hay into the hayloft, how to milk a cow, how to plant peas in the right time of year. Same with Joe Mayo. When I decided to run for the state legislature, Joe was the most active Democrat in Knox County. He sat me down, he gave me a lecture about what I needed to do. He himself became the youngest clerk of the House in the Maine legislature, and we lost Joe to ALS as well. My college professor of business, who taught me everything I needed to know about small business, and I still run one on the side, Dan Kane, was lost to ALS. So too many times I have seen wonderful people, wonderful friends who were lost to this disease. And thank you so much to the wonderful Mainers who've come down to visit me. Josh and Ernesta, who came and told me their story, Hank and Rose, Dr. Churchill, so many others. You are all the ones who deserve the recognition tonight, not me. I can't imagine how hard it is, on top of all the other challenges in your life, to get on a plane, to bring your families here, to march through the Hill and tell us your personal stories. But I do want you to know this one thing. Your advocacy really makes an enormous difference. I've had the ability to hear some stories and learn some stories of good friends firsthand, but many people have never been touched by ALS. And to have all of you come to our offices to talk about the challenges, to talk about the devastating disease and the importance of research and the importance of finding a cure, it makes an enormous difference. We will cure this, and we will do so because of all of you. So thank you very much.
We'd like to ask Congresswoman Pingree and the Kennedy family to remain on stage for the presentation of the Advocacy Achievement Award. We have two Advocacy Achievement Awards to present this evening. The first award is presented to the Kennedy family. Josh Kennedy served for 9 years in the United States Army, including being deployed to Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was diagnosed while in the Army and was lost to ALS at the age of 34, just 2 years after his diagnosis. He was a loving husband and father with a tremendous advocate. Josh and Ernesta participated in this conference 2 years ago and actively worked throughout the year with the Northern New England chapter, Congresswoman Pingree, and the rest of the Maine congressional delegation to advance ALS issues in Congress. Since Josh's passing, Ernesta continues to be very involved in the fight, sharing her ALS story and making a difference. I am proud to join with Congressman Pingree to present the Advocacy Achievement Award to the Kennedy family.
You've already heard enough from me, but I just want to echo the remarks. Josh led an exemplary life of service to his country, to his community, to this wonderful family, and was good enough to come meet with me several times. We were honored to have him in our office. I can't imagine how devastating the loss has been. There's no way we can honor this family or so many others, but I'm thrilled to be able to participate tonight and congratulate you on this award, and thank you so much for being here with all of us today.
The next Advocacy Award is, the next Advocacy Award is presented to one of the most effective and passionate ALS advocates we have. He was diagnosed with ALS in 2010 and has not let the disease slow him down one bit. He serves on the board of directors of the Georgia chapter. He chairs its public policy committee. He has organized a state advocacy day in his state capital, has published letters to the editor to build support for ALS issues, and has led his chapter's delegation to this conference for the past 2 years. This will be his third trip to Washington in 2013. He joined us on the Hill at the beginning of February to meet with members of House and Senate appropriations, and was here later that month to testify during the FDA's hearing on ALS. At that hearing, I had the fortune of sitting with the honoree, and after my own 22 years working in the ALS community on and off, Ted taught me a lesson, that it's okay to laugh when working with ALS issues and with people with ALS. They still laugh. He taught me that humor is good and useful, and that's a lesson that I will always appreciate. And I actually wrote that this afternoon on the plane before we sat at lunch, and he said all sarcastic remarks throughout the lunch to me. So, I meant it then, I mean it even more now. Could you come up, Ted Harada? For these reasons and more, we are pleased to present an Advocacy Achievement Award to our friend, Ted. I'm very excited now to hear from the first of our two keynote speakers this evening. O.J. Brigance spent 7 years in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens, the St. Louis Rams, and finished his career with our New England Patriots. O.J. was an integral part of the Ravens team that won the Super Bowl in 2000, making the very first tackle of the game. A graduate of Rice University, the two-time All-Southwestern Conference linebacker still holds the school's record for most career tackles. O.J. is a star on and off the field. With the Miami Dolphins, O.J. was involved in a number of community organizations, including Habitat for Humanity, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and the Daily Food Bank. O.J. was honored with the NFL Players Association's Unsung Hero Award in 1999 and received the Ed Block Courage Award in 2007, the year he was diagnosed with ALS. This diagnosis didn't stop O.J. He continued in his role as Director of Player Development for the Ravens, and since 2010 has served as the Senior Advisor to Player Development for that team. In 2008, O.J. and his wife, Shanda, created the Brigance Brigade Foundation to equip, encourage, and empower people with ALS. O.J. and Shanda have done much to help others and to raise awareness of ALS around the globe. The humility, strength, and faith he demonstrates each day in the face of ALS continues to inspire us all. I am honored to introduce O.J. Brigance.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the ALS Association for the privilege of addressing this room of courageous individuals who have come to Washington, D.C. to ensure the voice of the ALS community is heard loud and clear. Greetings to President Gilbert, the Executive Board, and the members of the Public Policy staff. A special thanks to Kathy Cromer for making sure we were taken care of. There is one other special person I would like to thank for his courage and tenacity, my brother from another mother, Steve Leeson. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I am honored to share this platform with a warrior who refuses to give in to his circumstance. Thank you for this opportunity. John 15:16 reads, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and I have appointed you that you may go and bear fruit, and keep on bearing, and that your fruit may be lasting, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you." I have been blessed to live an extraordinary life. Many wonder how can I smile and say that I am blessed despite of my current physical state. It all stems from knowing that God knew and predestined me to be great before my birth. Adversity can be a great teacher in life if we are willing to accept its teaching and learn from it. My physical limitations have forced me to examine my character, heart, and faith. What was real and what was fake became exposed by the light of truth. When I was diagnosed with ALS in May of 2007, my world came to a screeching halt. As many of my fellow pals in this room tonight, I was faced with the reality of my own mortality. Once my wife and I processed our options and had a good cry, we had a decision to make. How would we respond? In our darkest hour, we discovered that God had planted a root of resiliency that would not allow us relinquish our destiny to ALS. We decided to fight for our family, for our marriage, and for our future. Before my ALS diagnosis, I used to enjoy weeding the flower beds and doing things outside. One summer, I learned a great lesson from a pear tree in the courtyard of our home. When they originally built the house, the tree was small and unobtrusive. As it continued to grow, its roots continued to expand and branches continued to grow until the tree became too large for our courtyard. Not only were the roots endangering our foundation, but the leaves would clog the gutters. We decided to remove the tree and called the tree service. Watching the dismantling of the pear tree was a thing of great precision and fascinated me. First, the workmen removed the branches one by one, each falling to the ground, disconnected from its life source. Then they cut the trunk in half, lowering the severed top half to the ground with ropes to ensure no damage to the house. Next, they cut the lower half of the trunk down, leaving only the base of trunk as the last thing to be removed, or so I thought. Lastly, the workers pulled out this huge stump grinder that would make them the tool and tiller proud. Okay, everybody may not have gotten that one. I am dating myself. The stump grinder demolished the rest of the tree, sending wood chips and dust everywhere. The tree company cleaned up and left no evidence that the tree was ever there. A week or so passed, and I was back out in the yard again. When I looked at the section of mulch where the tree used to stand, I noticed a few sprouts breaking through the soil. Taking a closer look revealed that the root system of the tree still was sending nourishment to grow the tree, despite the many methodical circumstances that tried to destroy it. There was a root of resiliency that refused to let the tree die. I humbly submit to you this evening that the same root of resiliency that I discovered within that tree runs through me and throughout every person in this entire ballroom. A root of resiliency that has allowed you to stand firm in the fight against ALS, despite of how the winds of adversity have tried to derail you. No matter what circumstances in life have tried to dismantle you, the root of resiliency has sustained you. The Bible says it this way in 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. We are hedged and pressed on every side, troubled and oppressed in every way, but not cramped or crushed. We suffer embarrassments and are perplexed and unable to find a way out, but not driven to despair. We are pursued, persecuted, and hard driven, but not deserted to stand alone. We are struck down to the ground, but never struck out and destroyed. Throughout my fulfilling and challenging life, I have been doubted, physically injured, mentally exhausted, and confined to a wheelchair. Through it all, being rooted and grounded in Jesus Christ has continued to nourish my spirit, allowing me to press forward to achieve all God called me to do, despite any extenuating circumstances. All of the way Coach Chuck Pagano of the Indianapolis Colts said it, as he battled leukemia. We all have circumstances. Choose not to live in your circumstance, but live in your vision. Life's adversities serve a dual purpose: to refine us personally, and to give us experiential knowledge in serving others who may be walking the same journey. Our adversity is never just for us, but to bless others around us. That is why my wife and I started the Brigance Brigade. To whom much is given, much is expected. Over my life I have come to learn that the most valuable things have no price tag on them. Love, joy, peace, and health, to name a few. We are all conduits to give because we have been given. If we approach life with a closed-fist mentality, true, nothing will get away from us, but nothing will be able to enter our hands either. We are put on earth to serve others in some capacity. No adverse circumstance excuses us from that call. We have been given a platform to be world changers. This is the reason we have assembled in the nation's capital, to be world changers. To significantly impact the world around us by utilizing our circle of influence for the fight against ALS. Though it probably would have been understood if we chose to battle this disease privately, God's call to show His strength being made perfect in our weakness was greater than our privacy. As a result of stepping out in faith, many people have been equipped, encouraged, and empowered to live their lives despite being diagnosed with ALS. Because each of you have stepped out in faith, a light will be illuminated on Capitol Hill this week to light the path to a cure for ALS and a brighter future for those battling this horrific disease. In previous years, we have held an inspirational candlelight vigil to remember those we have lost and to remember why we are in this fight. Though the assignment is tough, we are the right people for the job. We possess an internal flame that will never be extinguished in memory of those we have lost. We possess an eternal flame that will burn brightly until we see a cure for ALS realized. The root of resiliency in you will sustain and enable you to do things far beyond what you may think you are capable of. It is not about you or me or about our circumstances. It is about the call of God on our lives to be world changers and influence the people and the world around us for the ALS community. I am honored to share this landmark occasion with you all. I pray you all keep the faith and keep fighting in hope. To every pal, family member, and advocate that has fought to ensure our rights and needs are not forgotten, thank you. Blessings to you all. Have a great evening and a very productive week. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much, OJ. Thank you so much for your inspirational message and all that you do to help people with ALS and to advance the fight against the disease. Like his friend O.J. Brigance, our next speaker has been a star on and off the football field. Steve Gleason began his career in the National Football League in 2000 and played 8 seasons with the New Orleans Saints as a safety and special teams player. On September 25, 2006, during the Saints' first home game following the devastation of Hurricane Katrina, Steve was responsible for one of the most dramatic and memorable moments in Saints history when his block punt in the first quarter of a game against the Atlanta Falcons was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. It was the first touchdown in the Saints' first home game in nearly 21 months. It was a moment of pride and elation that brought a sense of hope and healing to a devastated city that forever will be remembered. Throughout his career, Steve has also selflessly given back to the community. In 2003, he launched the One Sweet World Foundation to focus on literacy and environmentalism. Following Hurricane Katrina, he created Backpacks for Hope, providing backpacks and school supplies to young victims of the hurricane. He spent countless hours visiting young patients at Children's Hospital in New Orleans, providing comfort and care for those who needed it most. Known for his long hair that flowed out from underneath his football helmet, Steve also regularly donated his hair to Locks for Love, which provides hair used to create wigs for cancer patients. In January of 2011, Steve Gleason's life changed when he was diagnosed with ALS just before his 34th birthday. When most people are diagnosed with ALS, they don't know what to expect. Yet when Steve was diagnosed, I don't think ALS knew what to expect. Like the players who provide hope to the city of New Orleans and millions of football fans, today Steve Gleason brings hope and inspiration to all of those living with ALS and their families. He has made it his mission not to simply live with ALS, but to thrive with it and to inspire others to do the same. As he so often says, no white flags. Steve has dedicated himself to helping the entire ALS community by providing assistance and support by raising awareness of the disease every chance he gets, both personally and through his organization, Team Gleason. His efforts not only provide hope that a treatment and cure can be found, but also the inspiration to go find it. Last year, the association recognized Steve's efforts to raise awareness by awarding him with the Pac-Man Award. Steve's mother, Gail, accepted the award on his behalf, and I'm happy to say she is with us in Washington this week once again. Steve is in New Orleans this evening with his wife, Michelle, and 18-month-old son, Rivers. Unfortunately, he couldn't be in Washington tonight, but we're going to test our technological skills here and have him try to join us using Skype. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Gleason.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Gentlemen, thank you for having me to your party. I started drinking during the first speech, so excuse me if I slur my words. Team Gleason has been fortunate enough to develop an excellent relationship with several chapters of the ALS Association, and we appreciate the work the ALS Association has done globally to help patients and caregivers of ALS. Jane Gilbert and her team continue to stand on the forefront of the disease and should be recognized for their outstanding efforts. Thank you, Jane, for having me. I also want to thank OJ for being such a podcast. OJ is a mentor, a pioneer, and an example to me and everyone in this room. He has truly sharpened my spirit and my being with his example and presence. Thank you, Jay. I wish I could be there in person, but if I have learned anything since my diagnosis, is that physical presence is the least powerful aspect of the human being. No, I got in Super Bowl 2006 that announced to the world that the city of New Orleans had no end disappearing. I believe we are at a similar moment with ALS, similar to the night of the block punt. After I was diagnosed with ALS, I told my family and friends that I will continue to live my dreams, continue to do what I love with people whom I love. In the process, I will continue to be productive, and as a result, I believe the group that surrounds will help change the world. The group in this room is doing just that, changing the world. Tomorrow you are the heroes. I think because of circumstances in the past, ALS patients having no options were forced to face quietly and die. For me, this is not okay. I think the current generation of health, with the help of technology and some momentum, are at a point where their voices are starting to be heard. The general public is getting a glimpse of ALS and what it does. This is a start. This is a foundation. But more must be done. Tomorrow is a step toward building upon the foundation. I believe we will find the cure only when the general public has intimate knowledge of what ALS is and intimate knowledge of what it does. A conversation can be on a global scale. A conversation about ALS, therapies, and ultimately a cure. I believe with the correct support resources, we can cure ALS. We cannot be satisfied until the rest of the world is having a conversation about ALS. Until we have the necessary resources, funding, and support to develop a cure, we cannot be dismayed or deterred. As OJ has said, we must be resilient. As you know, this will not be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. OJ and I grew up playing on various teams. High school, college, and the NFL. Along the way, we both faced various obstacles. All teams face challenges and obstacles. Those that are resilient ultimately prevail. To everyone who came and chose to invest their time and effort in this movement, you are our captains of the team. We are very grateful for your effort. As tragic as some of the circumstances may be, I believe these circumstances provide an even greater opportunity. For us, that opportunity is to change the entire story of ALS by finding a cure. Thank you for having me this evening. No white flags.
Steve, thank you so much for inspiring all of us to keep fighting, and that's exactly what we'll do on Capitol Hill tomorrow. Next, we'd like to recognize Kate and Ron Linder. Kate is the star of America's #1 rated daytime television drama, The Young and the Restless, playing the role of Esther Valentine. In 2008, she was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Kate has been one of the ALS Association's most prominent spokespersons since her brother-in-law Scott's diagnosis with ALS in 2004. Scott passed away earlier this year, but throughout his battle, Kate and Ron have been on the front lines fighting this disease. In 2005, Kate testified on behalf of the association before the Senate Appropriations Committee, calling on Congress to increase funding for ALS research and patient services. Kate has been a fixture at this conference, serving as mistress of ceremonies for several of our candlelight vigils. Through her public awareness campaign, Kate's Club, she has raised awareness of the disease and support for ALS issues among the Hollywood community and the public. She has raised awareness by her filming a public service announcement, which has been seen by over 500 million viewers. Kate's husband, Ron, has played a significant role behind the scenes, advocating on Capitol Hill and across the country on behalf of people with ALS and their families. Ron recently secured a significant bequest for ALS research, a major victory for our fight against the disease. Kate and Ron have helped many of our chapters with their fundraising. We in Rhode Island remember and with great appreciation their 2006 trip to help us with our annual Evening of Hope dinner. Kate and Ron, could I ask you to come up and accept, on behalf of the ALS Association, a big thank you for all that you both do.
This is quite a surprise, actually. You don't know this, honey, but I thought they were just honoring you. So I had to pretend all this time that, that I didn't know. So I'm really, really surprised. But I want you to know that this is definitely an honor for both Ron and myself. And even though our brother-in-law, Scott, recently passed away, I want you to know that that just makes my resolve even stronger. And as I always say, it doesn't matter. This was actually said by Andrew Gleason. Doesn't matter how many breaths you take in this lifetime, but rather what you do with those breaths. And I will make sure that I take every single breath until we find a cure for this disease, for ALS, and we are never, 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 never giving up. And don't any of you either.
So next, I'd like to introduce Andrew Brophy, a fellow Capitals fan. We've gone to a couple games together, and member of the association's Chairman's Council. A former national trustee and past chair of the Public Policy Committee, Andrew will present our final award this evening.
Thank you, Bill, and good evening, everybody. The ALS Association has enjoyed the generous support of many friends, families, organizations, and partners over the years. Few have been more steadfast and committed than the wonderful gentleman we honor tonight. I'm speaking, of course, of Richard P. Essie. Dick is one of the most unique individuals I know, and I'd like to share a little bit about who he is. To begin with, Dick does not waste time. In 1953, while attending a cocktail party, he met the lovely Sheila and proposed to her after just 3 dates. Their marriage would last over 50 years, including living on both coasts and producing 2 wonderful children and 3 grandchildren. When Sheila was diagnosed with ALS in the fall of 1994, Dick and Sheila were living in San Francisco. To get up to speed on what ALS was and ensure that more local services were available for people living with ALS, Dick organized and launched the Greater Bay Area chapter, now part of the Golden West chapter. But being Dick, it didn't stop there. In 1995, he joined the association's board of trustees, and nearly 20 years later, he continues to participate in committee calls and discussions. Furthermore, he immersed himself in the ALS research community and has played a significant role with the American Academy of Neurology Foundation as a trustee and a contributor. Dick knows what's important. While the list of people who call him a friend, a colleague, philanthropist, and all-around good guy is truly infinitely long, one of the most important titles he has is simply that, as so many of us in this room, Dad. His son Jim is here with us tonight, and together they run the company Dick started back in 1962 called Temp Positions, a full-service staffing agency that has helped over 100,000 people in all kinds of jobs. Jim is a consummate executive, not only running a strong organization and keeping Temp Positions competitive and entrepreneurial, but involving himself in his industry and community. Dick's daughter, Tina, a marketing executive, has also spent time in the family business, has launched her own clothing business, and stays involved in her local community philanthropy. In addition to his participation with ALS-related causes, Dick has served on the boards of other prominent organizations, including the San Francisco Senior Center, San Francisco City Club, and he is a trustee emeritus of the San Francisco Fine Arts Museums. Family, hard work, and community involvement all play important roles in Dick's life. Dick knows what it means to do more. In 1996, the Sheila Essie Award for ALS Research was established jointly by the American Academy of Neurology and the ALS Association, rewarding its recipients for significant research contributions in the search for the cause, prevention of, and cure of ALS. Funded by the Essie Family Fund at the San Francisco Foundation, this award is presented each year at the annual meetings of the American Academy of Neurology and has received much acclaim in the ALS and greater scientific communities. Sheila battled ALS courageously for 10 years, and while this award honors her memory and keeps her alive in our hearts, it also stands as a hallmark for the most innovative and rigorous ALS research. Last month, the Sheila Essie Award was presented to Drs. Rosa Rademakers and Brian Traynor, who independently identified a mutation on chromosome 9 that causes ALS. This mutation accounts for up to 40% of all familial cases of ALS and up to 7% of sporadic ALS, making it the most common cause of the disease found to date. It is also responsible for approximately 50% of cases of familial frontotemporal dementia. This is true landmark discovery in ALS research, brings us closer to answers of how and why, as well as potential therapies. To be a complete supporter of the ALS Association is to be Dick Essie. Dick's remarkable philanthropic approach to the association is truly in the spirit of being full mission directed. His support of our awareness and advocacy efforts are driven by his creative recommendations and entrepreneurial drive. He's always asking questions about how we can learn from our peers and other nonprofit organizations. His commitment to serving ALS patients and families is exemplified by his involvement in our chapter network. And we all know he is extremely proud of the Sheila Essie Award and what it is bringing to the ALS research community. All told, Dick and his family have supported the ALS Association and the three driving forces of our mission with over $1 million in financial support. As a fellow trustee, I saw Dick in action at board meetings, encouraging all of us to do more, offering creative solutions to challenges, as well as drilling into budget details as though it was temp positions. And all done with an infectious smile and wonderfully positive attitude. Dick, for me, has always been an exemplary trustee and steward of the organization, caring, smart, but most of all, generous. Dick Essie has spent his life, all 90 years of it, leading by example and doing wonderful work on behalf of many, many worthy causes. But for the past 20 years, he has exhibited a laser-like focus to helping people with ALS and their loved ones. It's a distinct honor and a great pleasure to present the ALS Association Lifetime Achievement Award to Dick Essie. Even though Dick is from San Francisco, this feels a little bit like he might be from Los Angeles because Dick hasn't managed to get here yet. So receiving the award on Dick's behalf is Fred Fisher from the Golden West chapter.
I know some of you thought I was Dick Essie. I'm not. So, Dick says, due to rain, I just arrived in Dulwich. I'm not sure. Anyone know where Dulwich is? I don't know. But we're all grateful for Dick because he says, don't hold dinner. I'll be there, but late. So we can all be grateful to Dick that we all got a chance to eat and didn't have to wait for him to arrive. So mostly what I have to say is Andrew did a great job really explaining who Dick Essie is. And in inimitable Dick fashion, we carry on in his honor, even when he's not in the room to make it happen. And in my mind, there's really few people who embody not just what a full mission ask means, but what a full mission do means. He embodies the integration of our mission priorities. He is the example of what it means to be focused on a relentless search for a cure through research, focus on a relentless commitment to patients through chapter services, and focused on a relentless effort to achieve public policy success for the benefit of the entire ALS community. And we're all very grateful to have him with us. Dick just celebrated his 90th birthday. I don't remember what that's called, but he's very proud of it. And you know what? I think it would be fun just because he's not here, but personally I'd like to be able to tell him that we did this, and many of you will be able to share it too. So let's all do a rousing happy birthday to you, to Dick. Maybe he'll hear it from somewhere on the GW Expressway or wherever Dulwich, however you get from Dulwich to here. Maybe he'll hear it. Maybe he'll walk in just as we're doing it. But just in case, to stretch this out just that bit longer, can you all please join me in singing Happy Birthday to Dick? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Louder.
Happy birthday to you.
Still can't hear you on the expressway.
Happy birthday, dear Dick. Happy birthday to you.
On behalf of Dick, thank you very much.
Well, after all, we did get to sing for our supper. That's good. Well, thank you very much for your attention. This concludes this evening's Rally Dinner. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the inspiring messages. Have a good evening.
Almost. There's a little more housekeeping. Thank you, Bill. Thank you to everyone for joining us as we continue to work to find a treatment for ALS and find it as soon as possible. For those of you heading to Capitol Hill tomorrow, you will now meet with your chapter delegation to review your plans for the Hill meetings. Delegations will be meeting in different breakout rooms, as you can see on the screen. Please meet your delegation leader in the assigned room. And remember, as Bill said, tonight we honored our current heroes, and tomorrow is your chance to be a hero. Thank you so much.